This episode of the Flying Pigskin Show is sponsored by BRG Apartments.
It's one of the most talked about shows on the internet. It's bigger on the internet than, well, maybe not that big. Welcome to the Flying Pigskin Show. As we wrap up yet another Bengals weekend, Catherine Nero is with us. Good morning, Catherine.
And good morning to you. I'm glad we've decorated the basement here at 9 on your side for
we're
the holidays.
Holiday spirit. I'd be a lousy weatherman because not that I'm all great at anything I do, but I can't figure out how to do that because they use the same technology that we use when we do
what
the weather.
Technology? This is our basement.
I know, but what it is you got to point to stuff.
Yeah, it's very.
And everything is opposite. It's like driving a trailer. When you drive a trailer, you got to turn the wheel in
that's
the
true.
opposite
The opposite direction. Yes.
Yeah, I would not be very good about that. You obviously have now seen the aftermath of the carnage in Pittsburgh last night. Your thoughts on what went down in Pittsburgh?
I stayed up far too late watching that game, and I'm kind of kicking myself this morning because it made no sense in the long run. I think we kind of saw what was coming.
Staying up, or?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, it was an interesting game all the way through, but then the whole injuries and then the confrontation after the game with Tomlin and Nelson, and it was just, it's exactly what you would expect a game between the Steelers and the Bengals for the title to be, but I expected a little bit more from our fair Bengals.
Well, it's almost like they figured on Monday night we got the monkey off our back. We've now won a primetime game, and they go there. And I'm sorry, you start a game and you have a punt return for a touchdown.
It's bad.
You're not ready to play.
And
you are not. I don't care what Antonio Brown can do. I mean, he's a great athlete and all that, but you give up a special teams play like that early in the game, you're just not ready for it. I just think the focus wasn't there early. And
they hadn't given up one that long all year.
Well,
that was the longest all year.
But again, I think you can look at games like last night when you get unconventional scores against you normally lose.
It's true.
And to give up a punt return that early in a game, I think it was only like 11 minutes, 12 minutes in to go in the first quarter.
Yes.
It's very early in the game. To me, that told me, hang on a second, we're not totally into this thing right now. We're distracted. We got the flu. We got this. We got that. But we're not completely focused on task at hand.
I think
they rebounded pretty well.
They did after that.
They've done that several times this year, giving
How
up
many
a big
did they lose by?
10.
Okay.
But they were.
How many did they
that
lose
wasn't
by?
when the game. That wasn't when the game was lost. That wasn't when the game was lost. The game was lost when he airmailed Green twice.
Okay, see, that's where I was going with this. See,
and,
I
and
agree
the fumble.
with you, Matt.
But the punt return is bad, but they've been good on special teams all year. The turnovers, the fumble, and the 2 interceptions is where they lost.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying when you come out of the chute and you give up a play like that, that doesn't speak well for your focus. I don't care whether they came back from it. That was a bad start. How many teams get off to really bad starts and win? I think I don't have the number in front of me, but I think it's probably not a whole lot.
Did I see Huber's had 3 punt returns on him, and it was all by Brown?
Yeah, Brown's
right?
all 3 of Brown's
all
returns
3.
are against
Yeah,
Bengals.
and against Huber.
He still made a pretty good run at it, considering what happened the last time he was there too, trying to tackle him. What I thought was interesting, and you mentioned the turnovers, or at least the interceptions, Matt. The stat, and I had not seen this in a number until last night, that the combination of Dalton to Green produced the most interceptions of any quarterback wide receiver combo in the NFL. I realize he's head and shoulders above most of the other receivers, but still, nonetheless, that is a huge number.
Right. Well, he's the only
26.
guy that Dalton throws to.
And I think he had
That's
2
true.
more after they put that stat up.
Correct. 2 more afterward.
Weren't they both to Green last night that he got intercepted on? So it's 27 or 28.
You know what I found interesting about last night is you're watching this unfold, and again, it's like crack. You go right to Twitter when all this stuff happens.
Yes.
But it's like, not that I have any experience in crack, but the fact is that
We'll take your word on that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we all go through the same test,
It's
and we're
for
hired
medicinal
here.
purposes only.
But
Ken.
AJ Green was starting to take some hits.
Yes.
On social media last night. A lot of you can blame Dalton all you want, but a lot of this stuff sometimes is on the receiver too.
He's been above the fray, despite missing 4 games, despite the injury last week and another one this week. he has really not been maligned on social media the
None.
way we love to malign our Bengals until yesterday.
Tom
Catherine, I
Jordan's
said that-
joining us this
I said
morning.
that-
filling
Tom,
in
good
for
morning.
PJ.
Good to have you with us.
I said that to you this morning
You did. Tom walked
we
in and said
collaborate
this.
when we come into work this morning. I said it almost feels like he drops the ball as much as Jermaine Gresham. It's not as bad, but it's almost as bad.
Well, that's a big statement. I don't know if that's
Well-
right. Yeah.
He gets a lot more opportunities to drop the ball as well.
Right.
But on the other hand, that's the only guy that Dalton throws to anymore. He'll throw some to Gresham, you know, the RoboCop. I mean, that guy, does this guy run for more than like 3 yards after he makes a catch? But it's like, other than Gresham and Green, he hasn't thrown anybody.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he doesn't trust Sanu, maybe he can't find Sanu, but maybe he can't see Sanzenbacher or whoever else they have out there. He just doesn't throw the ball.
Maybe that's all they do in practice is Dalton to Green, Dalton to Green, Dalton to Green, and when you don't have that, then you go, I don't know what to do.
Who do you think you are today, James
I was
Franco?
just
with
going to
those
say,
glasses?
what's
breeze.
happening here with the
Chill out, man.
sunglasses?
I had a rough
Cool
night. It was a rough
breeze.
night.
Rough night.
I'm in mourning for losing.
Morning,
to the
you
Steelers.
look like you're ready for a police
All I'm
lineup.
saying is, the sunglasses notwithstanding, I do enjoy the T-shirt.
Oh, absolutely.
That's an awesome T-shirt.
What is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
I
we-
didn't-
Take a look at it.
What is
Like
it?
it says, you don't live in
live in
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
You live in Cincinnati.
And that is good to remember on a day like today.
Right.
It is.
At least we're not in Cleveland.
What-
At least we're not.
There you go.
Which leads me to an off-topic point.
Oh my goodness, poor.
But hang on. What's more laughable? Johnny Manziel as a franchise quarterback, or the Browns, who haven't been able to
All right.
find a quarterback since they've come
We'll,
back into the
we'll
league?
wait till we talk to Andre. We're going to go
I'm just
live to
teeing things
Cleveland.
up. I know,
We're
I
going to
know.
go live to
I
Cleveland
know.
in about 20 minutes.
I'm
And
off the rails
By the way, was
already.
anybody
We'll
surprised?
drag them over the coals because they're one of
Seriously,
the few
though.
people we can drag over the coals at this point.
Right.
I mean, was anybody surprised when it turned out Manziel threw the party that Gordon got popped at afterwards?
Well,
Come on,
there
was
were-
anybody surprised?
There were like 8 guys that showed up late for practice. and
including him,
including him.
Manziel.
They had to send a guy go find him. I can't wait. We're going to go to Cleveland?
We are.
Oh, man,
We're
that's
going to
the
join
best.
the Dogs on the Run. Their comparable streaming show.
Nothing
Well, it's not
comparable.
comparable. Let's
Nothing's
not get
comparable.
crazy
Comparable
here.
in that it's about a football team.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
right.
how about that? All
I
right.
love it.
Yes.
I love it.
We're going to do that,
right.
and several. We're going
Oh,
to
is Jo-
visit with
Johnny
Liz.
Bag of Donuts is here. Mr.
We,
Sack is
and he
here.
hasn't been here
What?
for a
It's
couple
not out
weeks.
yet.
We're going to see whether he knows the Bengals played last night.
All right. I want to mention. Can I mention something before we get much
You can do
further?
it. You have the reins here.
We have an app for your smartphone. You know, they got these things out now, where you can make phone calls and you don't have to have like
Perhaps you got one for Christmas.
Unbelievable. Anyway, there's an app out, the WCPO.com app. You need to download it just in case this program is on past next week, because one never knows when one gets to the playoffs. You can actually listen to us in the car on the way to work. And you can participate when up, but listen to us. Don't watch us. You're supposed to be watching the road. And obviously, we're available for downloads and for mall openings after the show airs
Whatever it takes.
on Mondays at 7
Are we
a.m.
like Tiffany from the 80s?
We are.
Mall openings?
That's right. That's right. On WCPO.com. So I want to mention that because a lot of people, the radio in the morning, maybe they're kind of like in a coma, driving or whatever.
Yeah,
they want to listen to something. Listen to us. Why not?
I say just make the kids listen and watch while they're eating their oatmeal in the morning.
Yeah, you could put it on. Maybe they could put it up on the screens on the back of the headsets. For the kids. That would be
They would love
demonic.
This show. This is very kid friendly.
Demonic. Can we get this on Fountain Square, on that big screen on Fountain Square?
Please
We'll
Mr.
no.
work on
Satin
that
said
for
he might be
future
able to
shows.
get his stuff on Satin.
Please
Has
no.
that ever happened? Was he ever?
It hasn't yet.
Mr. Satin
Too
thinks he
many
might
cuss
be able to
words
get
in
it.
Mr. Satin's stuff.
All right. Well, we're taking too long. Let's talk to a man who's been in a winning playoff game and see what it might take.
Oh,
Jim,
that
good
hurts.
morning, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning.
Jim,
How you guys doing?
Jim, we're all well. We're all fit and ready for the new year. Your thoughts on last night's game? Because honestly, if a couple of plays broke the other way, Bengals are sitting here with a home playoff game this week.
Yeah, before I do, I did want to interject that I think Johnny Manziel probably is a #1 pick as a party giver.
You got it.
But look, he's awesome when it comes to parties. When it
Jim,
comes to swans or keeping guys out too late, whatever the case might be.
we're a generation down the road now, so I think you're protected. Who was the best party thrower on the Bengals when you played?
Oh wow, that's a good question.
Kickers weren't invited, I'm sure, but still.
Oh,
That's a good
Shane
point.
Graham
You were
was
right.
whenever he played here.
Boomer was pretty good about giving. We'd get off a plane and everybody go to his house. And it was typically, we didn't have a whole lot going the next day. It wasn't like we had Friday before a Sunday game that somebody would throw a big party like that. So I'm gonna beg. I mean, I'm just gonna say I don't really know that anybody did anything like Johnny Manziel.
I don't know that anybody has ever done anything like Johnny Manziel.
Good answer, Jim.
Connor Shaw, the next big thing there, compared to, he actually played better than Manziel has done. So, but that's off the point. I apologize. You're right. A couple plays. The thing is, every game comes down to 4 or 5 plays anyway.
Right.
Sometimes they don't. The Bengals.
And I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, Ken, when it came to the special teams play, because really they had him hemmed in. They did really well, and as Chris pointed out, Taylor Mays kind of took the wrong route. Instead of staying deeper, as deep as the returner was, he kind of got on inside that. He ended up stepping on top of his own guy, and he couldn't get off of him, and it left obviously the other side of the field to run back to.
If no one saw this game and they just looked at the stat sheet, you'd swear the Bengals won. I mean, the Bengals convert 43% of their third downs. The Steelers convert just 27. Total yards are virtually the same. The turnovers are the same. Time of possession is like 8 minutes in favor of the Bengals. But it's just watching Ben Roethlisberger work is really an art form. It is so good. He extends so many plays, and I know that's so tough to say in Cincinnati, but he just knows exactly what he's got to do and where everybody is. And even with the flu, which apparently he had as well last night, it's enjoyable to watch. And if there was one guy on the field that I thought was the difference maker, it was Roethlisberger. He was just head and shoulders above everybody else. Your thoughts on the quarterback play last night?
Well, I think you're right that Roethlisberger is exceptional. He's had an exceptional year. However, the Bengals aren't getting any pressure at all. I mean, zero. He only had to really move. Normally, he bounces off people a few times, extends plays that way. The few times the Bengals did get some pressure, seemed like he always found Le'Veon Bell and with those checkdowns. And I think one of the things that Dalton doesn't do particularly well, there were several times he threw balls away where if he'd have just checked it down to Bernard or to Hill, he might have had 5 or 6 or 7 yards to keep drives alive. So that's something he's got to do a lot better. I mean, Bell had, 70 or 80 catches this year. Matt Forte in Chicago had over 100. If you don't have something, just check it down, get into those playmakers' hands. And so I think that's the biggest difference. But my concern is the Bengals just are not getting any kind of pass rush. And it's going to be tough next week because of it.
Yeah.
It seemed like the Bengals almost made that decision to sort of isolate make them a one-dimensional game. They sort of handled the run. I mean, they seemed content doing what they were doing. And if you take away the punt return for the touchdown, they held them to a reasonable amount of points. I think Gunther somehow isolated and tried to just keep Ben in the same place and try to limit the big plays, which I think they sort of did. It looked terrible when you watched them stand back there forever, but they seemed to be content doing it over and over and over.
Well, certainly when they rushed 4, you see that. They brought some corners a couple different times that actually were pretty effective. To your point, it's probably true. They don't run him running around because that's when they go to scramble drills. The Steelers seem to be exceptional at getting open on those scramble drills. So in that case, they were very effective that way. But apparently they've been very effective all season because they really haven't put pressure on anybody all year except a little bit on Peyton.
I'm curious, Jim, what happens now? You go from a big win last week to, I'm not going to call this a devastating loss, but a lot was on the line in this one. With the title, home field advantage, all of that. What do you have to do to get your minds back right for this team to take the field Sunday in the right mindset?
Well, I think as soon as the game is over, guys have decided that it's time. We're ready. We're in the playoffs. We're still playing no matter what. And they're probably pretty excited to be playing Indianapolis with the whooping that Indianapolis put on them several weeks ago. It's time for them to get some revenge here. So I think they're excited to be going to Indy.
The inability, and you touched on this just a couple of minutes ago, the inability or the lack of desire for Dalton to check down and throw to Gio Bernard or Jeremy Hill out of the backfield. The fact that he looks
He did it the one time, and it worked great.
The fact that he throws exclusively anymore to A.J. Green. This is a problem, I think, because he either doesn't trust Sanu or can't find Sanu, and he won't do what you just mentioned. There's something going on there that just isn't right. Have you been able to put your finger on why he's just, every time he's back there, he's looking for Green?
Well, I think part of the problem is a lot of the teams have been playing him man-to-man, and I think every time, kind of like Matt Stafford in Detroit for several years, if Calvin Johnson's one-on-one, if A.J. Green's one-on-one, he's going to throw it to A.J. Green because he's going to win 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. And really the throws he's made to A.J. Green that have been intercepted, A.J. was wide open. I mean, he was wide open last night on that throw. The games against Denver, he was wide open on those two high throws. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's not open. He just is not making good throws. And it seems like as the game goes on, he gets into a rhythm and he starts making better throws. Somehow he's got to get those high throws out of his system, particularly early in games, because those things get away from him, and they've hurt him each time. Because Green is so tall, he gets to balls that are really high that may not be tipped by normal guys, and they get tipped and they're just floaters to somebody to pick off.
Do you anticipate any? I mean, we don't know the extent of his concussion. They're now in concussion protocol, which is good. I can't believe some of the things people were saying last night about that on social media, but it's good. But I mean, concussion protocol, Jim. Do you see any scenario where he wouldn't play in Indianapolis on Sunday?
Yeah. If he's having symptoms, they won't let him back. It's kind of out of the team's hands anymore. It's not like it used to be, where you knew your name, you knew your birthday, and you knew what day it was or how many fingers I was holding up. It's not like that anymore. So from that standpoint, the one thing, it didn't seem to be a helmet-to-helmet hit. Mm-hmm. It's more like a forearm. So I'm hopeful that, again, it's hard to say what a bad or a good concussion. There aren't any good concussions. So, we'll have to wait and see. And if I'm correct, I think I saw a quote from Green in the post game. So if he was talking to the press, obviously he was aware enough to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And Jim, we looked at the replay several times. The initial point of contact, there was a little bit of helmet to helmet, and it sounded vicious when you actually play the game.
And I may have missed this, Tom, but and Jim also, but I believe he did not speak afterward as part of the NFL concussion protocol, is that he is not allowed to speak. So unless I missed something completely, which is entirely accurate because I'm half asleep.
The quote I read then was probably attributed to the wrong person, if that were the case.
Are you saying the media's wrong?
It might have been Harold. It might have been Harold Green.
It never happens. But maybe it was just late at night. It was in Pittsburgh. Maybe they had trouble. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
No, you're right.
It was former running back Harold Green that was speaking in the Bengals locker room.
They called him in. Yeah, they brought him in.
All right. The Colts beat the Bengals 27-0. It was Week 7. The Colts had more rushing yards than the Bengals had total yards. I think the Colts are, everybody knows luck. Everybody knows what they have in terms of T.Y. Hilton. They're a good team. They can be had, Jim. There's no question things have changed since Week 7. But I think your point about getting pressure on Roethlisberger last night, if they don't do that this Sunday to Luck, it's going to be the same kind of deal, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think the one thing, the Bengals defensive backs have played so well this year that they take away, whereas most teams, the pressure creates chances in the secondary. The Bengals secondary just has to cover for a long time, which in the NFL is really hard to do, and they've done a phenomenal job of it. And even the play, Kirkpatrick really was in great position on the play that Brown went for the touchdown late in the game. I mean, he was almost in too good a position, and the throw by Roethlisberger was unbelievable. But for the most part, it's hard. It's hard to cover guys, especially if you get a T.Y. Hilton who's so quick, or Antonio Brown. These guys are so quick that you give Roethlisberger 4 or 5 seconds. Boy, that's trouble.
Now you've got the playoffs set. as we begin next week, when everybody plays, well, how many? There's 2 teams that don't play in each conference. Who's your pick, Jim? Each conference? I'm going to go with Seattle and New England. But who are you going with?
Seattle and New England sound good to me. I mean, they're playing probably as well. Dallas is playing extremely well, but if they do get that far, they have to play in Seattle, although they beat Seattle in Seattle earlier this year. But Seattle in the last 5 weeks has been their defense is playing like they have in the past. They're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah. Jimmy, thank you. We appreciate it. Have a great Monday. We'll talk next week.
Thanks. See you guys.
All right.
And hopefully for weeks to come.
And hopefully for weeks to come.
Yes.
I think they can beat Indianapolis, I do. But I think it all comes down to 14. And 14 has just got to play better. It's not, I wrote this on WCPO.com just a little while ago. It's not that he played poorly last night. It's just that when you need plays, this guy doesn't give them to you.
And again, sometimes it's that overall factor. You put something on Twitter I thought was great. That's right, I just gave Ken Brew a compliment about the ranking of the quarterbacks. When you look, it's like that old song, one of these things is not like the other. And you see Manning, and you see Brady, and you see Luck, and then Roethlisberger, and then you see Dalton. He's just not, you don't trust him in those moments that something great is going to happen.
Right. Who sang that song?
It was in like Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just isn't the same. It'll be like a mailman, and a policeman, and a firefighter, and a newscaster.
I thought it was
Which one's not like them?
Carly Jepsen, because I think you're into her, right?
Yes.
Here's my number, so call me maybe. No, would anybody like an encore? But I no, okay. I do think that when you look at all of these quarterbacks, NFC, AFC. I mean, who do you put Andy Dalton ahead of that's left? Maybe not Matt Ryan. Maybe Cam Newton.
Arizona quarterback.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Look
Or
what
anybody
Cam
in
Newton's done
Arizona,
with
right?
That team.
But that's it.
Look what Cam Newton's done with that team
Yeah,
lately. I mean, that team was out of it.
I don't know who you rank the guy ahead of, and it's all about quarterback play when you get to this time of the year. And the guy, he doesn't kill you. He makes it difficult at times. But when you absolutely positively have to have a play,
he's not the guy to give it to you.
He doesn't give it to you.
Roethlisberger will.
He
Flacco will.
Flacco will. You pick anybody, they'll do it. The kid up in Indianapolis is the best of all the young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He will give it to you. So, I don't know. But I do think they can beat the Colts. The Colts are okay. They're not great.
But what has changed between October 19th and now?
Well, first of all, Green didn't play in that game.
Guys,
Yeah.
I have to interrupt.
Yes.
We're going to go join now. We're going to go to Cleveland.
Good.
The Dogs on the Run show, which is a lot like our show.
A lot.
A lot.
Not nearly
Kind
as
of.
good,
We
clearly.
talked about that. They're a
Nothing's like
football
this.
show on the internet about the Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
We're going to join Andre Knott.
Okay.
I believe that's your name. Andre, how you doing?
You got it. I'm doing good. Ken Bro, I look up to because I work with Bill Wills at WTAM. Ken, this is a true story.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago, we were sitting in Progressive Field at a baseball game, and Bill and I have worked together for about 8 years now, and we were talking about social media and using all the different ways, and he goes, hey, look up a guy named Ken Bro and follow along with him. So I got to tell you, Bill Wills has had me following you for a long time. Welcome in, both you and Catherine from WCPO. You guys are talking about another loss for the Bengals, but you're in the playoffs, right?
Last we checked.
Yeah.
And by the way, Andre, I thought you were going to say that you looked up to Ken Brew because he's like 7 feet 14 inches tall.
Well,
That's
I'm
just
noticing
part of
that
it.
part now.
Just part of it.
Now let me just say this. Can you get me like just Manziel's address? Forget the phone number because I'm
Is
looking
there
for
a
a
cover
good party.
charge to get into his house?
You know, I would love to give you guys the address. Matter of fact, if you really want some help, I'll see if Andrew Luck will take the address and hit it up. The thing for Johnny, he lives in a new popular area where it's a hotel, but it's also kind of condominiums, and it's got a really cool bar inside. Now, for us at our age, we probably would say, who wants to live somewhere where there's a nightclub down in the basement? For Johnny, he thought he hit the jackpot when he saw this building. Obviously didn't work out well for us, guys.
You know, the problem I think the Browns have historically is they haven't been able to get a quarterback. I mean, since they come back in the league. And I know that there was a lot of Johnny Manziel this and that before they played the Bengals up there. Forget all the party and all that. Are the fans souring on this guy at all up there? Are they getting down on this dude?
Yeah, Ken, it's been very awkward, to be honest with both of you, because this has been one of those years back in May when he was selected, because we've got a younger generation of fans. I'd say if you're 30 years or younger, you haven't had very much to root for when it comes to the Browns. They
That
moved
sounds
away
familiar.
in the mid-'90s. They just haven't had anything to root for. Johnny was a guy that kind of brought the young kids in and made them want to be a part of the Browns again. So even when the Browns were winning games with Brian Hoyer, we would take calls the next morning on this show of, when are we going to see Johnny? Well, obviously, after we played the Bengals the second time and then he struggled down in Carolina, I think the light bulb went off for a lot of people that this kid isn't ready. And now the fans have gone from overly excited for Johnny, wanting him to move out of town and never come back.
Yeah.
It's happened quickly.
Yeah, and I noticed the general manager, or the I guess, or not the general manager, but the owner up there said the general manager and the coach are coming back. He just hired these guys. So is there like a sense of panic inside the organization now? Do they think they got what it takes, or where is that franchise right now?
Hey Ken, we're not cheap like the owners there that just keep guys, so they have to pay out multiple guys.
Touche.
It is big news in Cleveland that we're keeping our guy. This would have been the third year in a row that somehow we would have changed coaches or general managers. Obviously, that's a big issue here. I mock the Bengals and what they've done, but I got to be honest. They've been in the playoffs, 4 years in a row? They've stuck with Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis isn't the best coach in the NFL, but I think it does prove something to people throughout the NFL that if you stick with the same people and you draft the same type of guys, even if they like to be in stripes in the offseason sometimes, you have a better chance to grow a team than constantly changing. I'll give you this stat for us yesterday, and I want to ask you about your team. We only had one of our last 5 first-round picks playing yesterday. When you miss in the first round, you have no chance to be a winning franchise, and that's what the Browns are up against. Okay, the Bengals go to the playoffs every year, you guys, but they just seem to be practice fodder for whoever is going to the Super Bowl. Is this the year that it changes? Ken, I love the hair color, but I don't know if it's working for Andy Dalton.
I think the answer is no. I can't see it. I can't see it.
As a member of one of the 3% of gingers in this country, okay, as one of 3%, okay, I got to tell you this. And you know this too, man. It all comes down to quarterback play. And I asked today on Twitter, rank the AFC quarterbacks that are left standing. And I don't know who you put
below Dalton.
Yeah, I don't know who you put below Dalton. I mean, they're all.
Because Manziel's not an option.
No.
But, I think you would put 15 quarterbacks ahead of Dalton in the league, not just 6 or 5.
No, but I'm talking the ones that are still standing.
I understand. What I'm saying is he's going to be at the middle of the pack of any, And then if you're down to playoff teams.
That's the point, though. I mean, like, to make it this far and to make it further than where we are now, those upper echelon quarterbacks are the ones who do it. So when you see those names and then there's the big drop-off, I think it answers the question.
I'm thinking of coming to Cleveland. Where do I need to go when I go up there? I haven't been to Cleveland in a couple of years.
Wherever Johnny Manziel's house is.
Well,
Ken, we got all kind of places for you. The RNC is coming in the summer. We got a basketball.
Bring on the milk and cookies.
You don't have to make it to work on time. You don't even have to be good at your job. You just come here and you party it up.
All right, I'm coming. I don't want Manziel's number. I want your number, and then we'll tear it up. What do you think?
I like that, Ken. I like that a lot. You guys have fun. Hey, enjoy being in the playoffs. I agree with you guys until you guys. But see, that's the problem. You guys have been in the playoffs and had talent to win. But how do they get a great quarterback to make this team get over the top? Because I think we all know what the end result's going to be for the Bengals this year.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Listen, I love your show, Dogs on the Run. Check it out on. You guys are WEWS.com, right?
Yes, sir. You have it. We appreciate it very much. You guys have a wonderful New Year. We love catching up with you.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was. That's a good man up there. He knows his stuff.
I want to go anywhere where he says you don't have to be good at your job. Because clearly, I'm well on my way in that regard. The show is proving it.
I'll tell you this about their show up there. You know, we belong to a conglomeration called Scripps. It is one of the finest broadcast companies on the planet. I'm not saying that.
Not the finest.
I'm not saying that because I work for them. But the prototype show for all of these that we do, and they're about, I want to say like 12 Scripps stations that. Correct. Was that show that they do in Cleveland, Dogs on the Run.
Which
it's
is
a really good show, well produced. They got a lot of good people up there that know what they're doing, and we just pray to God we can get some of that down here eventually.
They're the Manning and Brady,
That's right.
and we're the Dalton.
That just
in
went
this regard.
right over everybody back there behind.
I was going to say, thanks, Ken.
Right
Thanks,
like
Ken.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we got a lot coming up in the second half hour. Mr. Sattin's going to stop by. Johnny Bag of Donuts is going to be here.
That's what I hear.
We're going to check in with a Pittsburgh Steelers fan of some note inside this building who has to be completely apoplectic on this particular morning because they've lost Levy and Bell maybe for this next playoff. But right now, and this is still beyond belief, we have a sponsor. And we want to take time out right now from the people that make this show possible. It's the good people at BRG. And as I've often said in this business, Catherine, we'll be right back.
BRG Apartments is offering fantastic savings for every new move-in to one of BRG's 34 communities. Find your home before the holidays, and BRG will donate $50 to the Free Store Food Bank. Visit us at brgapartments.com.
Thank you, BRG. We appreciate you being with us. And now we go from BRG to BOD. Johnny
How
Bag of
about
Donuts
that?
joins us live from Mom's basement. Good morning, John.
He's back. How is everyone?
We're as great as that Afghan you're laying on. How are you?
Thanks. I'm great too.
The Jim Caviezel of Skype.
No, I looked up Jim Caviezel, and I gotta say, I'm not really.
It's a good call. BOD, it's a good call.
So, I don't know. I'm just amazed Ken knew that guy's name, because I don't think anyone knows that guy's name.
Well, we do now.
We do now. Yes,
Hey,
we do.
hey, BOD, did you know that there was a game last night?
I did.
And
Okay.
And
That's my fault for asking a yes/no question.
who's holding your camera today? A dog? Is the family dog holding your camera today?
I'll try to. Steady it. Here we
He
go.
needed a selfie stick for Christmas. Have you seen these things?
Oh, I know. I love those.
Well, apparently BOD needs one.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, it only looks like it's a 4.0 on the Richter scale right now.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
We work on getting one of those for me.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Let's see what we can do.
right.
Our budget is 14 cents. It's whatever we find in these Barca loungers.
Yeah, it's right after taking the Chia Pet back to Walgreens. We're gonna get you one of those.
The Duck Dynasty Chia Pet.
So Johnny, you did not watch the game. Is that what we're understanding?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a relative term.
Relative to what?
Do explain.
I watched. I did get to see a couple minutes of it, but it was hard to watch. It was sad, so I had to turn it off.
It was sad. Did you?
Yeah, you want to stay in a good mood for the holidays and everything, and it was kind of a
Well,
bump.
for a while the Bengals were in it. It wasn't always sad.
Yeah.
They were never in control of this. Stop.
I didn't say they were in
Look, I know you're a Bengals
control
fan.
of it. They were driving down to win the game
There
at the
was
end of the game.
never a point in that game when you said, you know what, the Bengals are going to win this game. Never.
I don't know if I ever say that about the Bengals.
That's
Well,
They've
okay.
just taught me to feel that way. But they were playing tough.
Who?
Okay, the Bengals. Last night they played tough.
I thought they were going to win.
Yeah, they were driving down. They were driving
Mr.
down to
Positive
take. They
Mike
were
Stratman.
driving down to take the lead with 3 minutes to go.
And I thought
And then he
when
fumbled
Green
the
caught
ball.
that pass, I'm like, here we go. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden your hopes were dashed. When he fumbled.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, they were right there on the doorstep.
Right, and it was-
Were they
it
in
was-
control? Were they going to win the game for sure? No.
No.
But they were they were driving down like a good team does right at the end of the game to take the lead after all that had gone on.
Basically, the common thing in these big games, AJ and Dalton, they have to act like star players, and they just don't. I mean, Houston they didn't show up for. AJ just gave the ball away on the 20 yesterday. When they were driving, they could have.
He's fumbled
Gentlemen,
3 times
this
year.
is
and
all
lost
well and good, but
2, by
apparently the Bengals game has harshed BOD's mellow. I want to hear from BOD about his mellow being harshed.
Well, there wasn't much more other than turning it on, seeing what was going on, and be like, man, and then turning it off, and I feel good. Matter anyway. Who needed that game? Honestly, who needed it?
Well,
Who needed it?
Who
needed it?
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on harshed his mellow. Does that have the same connotation as it did back in the 60s?
It does, in fact.
Wow, I've never heard the term. What does it mean?
What does it mean, John?
Lucan has never heard that term.
Could you pan the room so we could see what it looks like today?
We're doing all right. We've got a little bit of laundry going on here, but it's not too bad.
Nice curtains you
Wow.
got rolling there.
Yeah, we've already talked about his White House curtains that he's got that are very nice.
Very pretty.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, John,
Why are you so negative, though, John? I mean, has the negativity of Bengal fans just rubbed off on you? You were like negative before you turned it on. You're just afraid of the Steelers?
Well, no. It's just, who needed the game? The game wasn't that important. It just,
Well, it meant you got a home game versus a road game.
Is that really going to matter to us? I really feel like that stuff never matters.
Well, there's that negativity again. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, no, we win either way. We win or lose either way. That's not necessarily.
We'd win either way. Okay, there you go. See, he's positive again.
John, did you sleep last night? Did the game keep you up? Did you go home, DVR it? I don't, I mean, you look like perhaps it's been a rough night.
Does he ever look like it wasn't a rough night?
No, he does. When he grooms himself, he looks like.
When is that?
Well, when he looks like Jim Caviezel on The Passion of the Christ. That's what he looks like when he's really dressed up. But here he looks like there's been, it's.
Was he in Passion of the Christ?
He looks like he's been at
Jesus Christ,
Johnny Manziel's house. Yeah, that's where people know him from, is the Passion of the Christ.
Yes. That's what, and ironically, they know you from your mom's basement. So it's, there's synergy there.
It all comes back.
It's all. Are you watching the playoff game that's coming up on Sunday? Just because we may want to check back with you next. Well, we may not, but we may want to check back with you next Monday. You're going to watch the game?
We're not hearing you, BOD.
What's that?
Your audio's cutting in and out.
My bad.
There we go. But yeah, the game's at like 1 o'clock, so it should be right up your alley. You could just roll out of bed and turn it on.
Yeah, or not. Not even roll out.
There you go. Just lay right where you are there. You got a remote near your position right now?
Yeah. No, I don't even have a TV, guys.
Okay.
That's the big I don't own a TV, so we got to work on that.
Okay.
Maybe, we can get a promotional thing going.
The earthquake is the earthquake is affecting your audio signal right now.
Gosh,
yeah, John, we appreciate you being with us, and thanks, for the mood lighting that you have there. What do you have, like an incandescent bulb, like right above your head?
Just a raw one.
It looks good, really. On you, it looks good. Ah, yes.
That's perfect. Okay, boom, you're done. Oh, it just froze on a good freeze of you.
The information gleaned
We'll talk to you later,
from a
Johnny.
interview is just immeasurable.
He adds so much to the program.
Oh, I tell you, where would we be without him?
Well groomed, mustache, everything. He looks great.
Informed.
Chris Reeve, I believe, is standing by in the newsroom. Is this right?
Well, we have to disconnect with Johnny. And
was there ever a connection?
It takes a while.
He is pretty disconnected.
It turns out, we were talking last night, me and a couple of friends.
Who would these friends be, Matt?
Harry, my seat mate, or the guy who sits next to me at the game.
Very.
Mike Nugent's missed field goal turned out to mean nothing.
Okay.
We all thought it was going to turn out to bite us. If we're 11-5 today instead of 10, or if we would not be in any different position.
Okay.
Had we won the game, it would have cost us a bye. But right now, the missed field goal and the tie. Had we won that game, we would be in the exact same position.
But I wonder if that's a rarity. I wonder if that's a rarity when you do have a tie. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm wondering if that.
And don't look now at that team that we tied against snuck into the playoffs yesterday, the Carolina Panthers.
That's right. And because of that tie?
At the worst.
Well, I think that tie may have helped him. I think that was the.
But normally it hurts you. No, I think normally statistics would bear that it would hurt you.
The tie's never going to help.
Yeah, if we would have beat Pittsburgh, it would have cost us a bye.
Right.
So it still was in play, but in the end, it didn't mean anything to us, and I guess it helped them get on there.
I'll tell you what, the fact that the NFL's policy, I just can't even understand.
We've cleared the internet lines and opened up the portal to Chris Riva. Good morning, Chris.
Everybody doing?
Now that you're here, the party can really begin.
It's fantastic now.
Yeah, we heard. Do you know what address Johnny Manziel lives at, and do you have a key, Chris? That's the first thing.
That's where Ken's been for the last 2 weeks. Destiny at that club, and then they cruise up to Cleveland to go to Manziel's place. I'm on to you, bro.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? Anything for a free ride. But I'll tell you this: if you could get me Johnny Manziel's phone number, I'll get you a few phone numbers
I guarantee
too.
you it's on Twitter right now. Give me a few seconds and some Google power.
Yeah, that's
You don't
right.
need a phone number. You just hit them up on social media.
Right.
Yeah.
North Korea has just hacked the Cleveland
Yes.
Browns directory, and they'll have it up there any moment now.
Listen, that dude is nothing about privacy. I can find it. Everybody can find it.
Check
Oh.
this out. Can you guys see this?
Yes, it looks like
Frank,
Beaker.
Frank Caliendo tweeted last night, Andy Dalton's game face is on. There is a ton of tweets that is superimposed this headshot
Beaker.
on
That's Beaker,
That's
Chris.
Beaker.
Do you know who that is?
It's Beaker.
Okay, yeah, all right. I didn't know.
I'm an 80s kid. Of course I know it. That's why I
Okay.
think it's the funniest thing ever.
They're killing Dalton on social media, aren't they, Chris?
Brutal. It's pretty brutal across the board. I don't know why I find it so funny in this case. But Caliendo started, and you know what? They're coming out of the woodwork from the standpoint of celebrities. Is also the Iron Sheik, speaking of 80s reference,
Wow.
made a couple comments. You can't read all of that tweet.
Iran number one.
Rain Wilson, nickname for Andy Dalton, the Ginger Scepter. I mean, they're coming out of the woodwork from the standpoint.
Why is it that having red hair basically and being heavy are the last two things you can make fun of about a person?
Are the last two things you
Yes,
can
I
make
mean
fun
think
of?
about it. You can't make fun
I'm
of
not
skin color, height, even as I mean you can't. I mean as
Are you
Marvin.
saying that you can't make fun of redheaded people anymore?
Well, no, what I'm saying
Well,
is
what is
it's
this
okay.
show all about?
It's okay to make fun of redheaded people, apparently.
First of all,
Sure.
the statistics.
Because they got it coming.
No, they don't have it. Let me just tell you.
There we go.
Let me just say this. We just don't have the vocal.
3%.
Well, yeah, that's right. But we are a minority. We're redhead.
That's
heads.
why we abuse you.
Well,
That's what
but
happens.
We
but
got a lot of gingers on this show. Mr. Sattin's over here. He's got the little red tinged beard.
and we're sensitive too. Do you know it takes more anesthesia to knock us out for surgery than it does for any other kind of person? It
Makes
does.
sense to me.
What?
I said it makes sense to me.
That's where you just face half the morning.
All right, guys, pile on. Fine. It's okay.
The other interesting I found online, or Bill Bullock did, was in the Indy Star today, the 5 things that you need to know about the Cincinnati Bengals. And they too are not very kind to Mr. Dalton, saying that he has, quote, the bank account of an elite quarterback, but he does not possess the game of one. That was one thing. Dalton, of course, going on about the fact that he's 0-3 in the postseason. Question to you guys, and I asked this to Catherine today.
And I formulated a brilliant response, I'm sure.
And I'm sure. If they lose this game, does Marvin lose his job?
No.
Should
he? Yes,
probably.
exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, any question you ask about the Cincinnati Bengals and you're trying to figure out what they may or may not do, you have to attempt to transpose yourself into the mind of Mike Brown, which is not the mind of most any other football person, especially somebody who owns a team.
Well, he's not a football mind. Let's just be honest. He has a football pedigree, but not a football mind.
Okay.
If
He's
they
a
weren't going to,
businessman. He's a businessman.
if they didn't fire Marvin Lewis after the 2007-2008 season,
Yeah.
Literally, he's going to have to hold a bank up and get caught before they.
I mean,
before they would fire
you
him.
have to understand. Think about Mike Brown's tenure as owner/general manager. The first 10 years were some of the worst in all of professional sport in North America.
But they were profitable.
Right, and that's fine. But these are the glory days. These are the glory days for the team, except for that they don't win the playoff. I mean, this is the best stretch they've ever had. So that's what he's always going to look at.
Right.
He's going to say that we just got to get over the hump in the playoffs. And he's somewhat right that if you bail and hire somebody else, it might take you 2 or 3 years to get back to the playoffs.
Don't you think Mr. Harbaugh would like to be working for Mr. Brown right now?
Goodness
No.
gracious. Can you imagine that dynamic?
I think any of those people who are strong-minded like him, or we used to always want, years ago, me and my friends would want him to hire Bill Parcells, but you'd have to give somebody like Bill Parcells or Mike Holmgren the reins to take over, and he will never do that. You need somebody like Marvin or a new guy. They're never going to get an established name because those guys, after they've been around for a while, like Andy Reid, they want control. They want to be able to have a say. And if you watch that Hard Knocks stuff, when you actually see behind the scenes when they're making decisions, Mike Brown is running the show. He's
Bless you.
Yes, bless you.
Well, my comment.
But he makes all the decisions. He calls everybody in front of him. They tell him what they think, and then he makes the call.
But
That's
here's
how
what I
I
don't
my-
understand. Here's
my
what I don't
comment.
understand here. This team is 10-5-1, right? Is that what they finished?
Yes.
10-5-1.
Yes.
Okay. why do we have amnesia and we can't remember players like David Klingler and Jeff Query and Jay Schrader and Harold Green and all of these other? Well, I mean, these are the.
What'd you say, Chris?
I remember all of them.
Right. No, what I'm saying is everybody as this was like the moral equivalent of Soviet agriculture for 15 years here. Now all of a sudden, they don't want a playoff game, or Dalton overthrows this guy or that. This is pretty darn good right now.
Let's quote Herman Edwards: "You play to win the game, Ken."
I know, but they couldn't. They didn't win anything in the '90s. Now all of a sudden they got a pulse and everybody's upset.
Season wins, and Marvin hasn't zero as a head coach, zero. Mike Brown as the general manager, zero as a GM.
Right.
So Paul Brown, zero as a coach.
But okay, so once they get the postseason win, then what do we talk about then? They have no Super Bowls? I mean, where does it end?
But why is that bad? Why is it bad that we're adjusting our expectations according to how successful they've been in recent years?
When you make it, let me ask you a question. Is it reasonable to not think that after a football team has made the postseason for 4 straight years?
One win.
It's very. All I'm saying is sometimes you got to take a step back to see where you were and where you are now. That's all I'm saying.
I have it very fresh in my mind as a Bengal fan where they were. It was a joke. It was beyond a joke.
Yeah.
But where are they now?
They're not a joke.
You know what?
They're in the conversation.
Great the postseason, you're a joke again. There are no expectations outside this city for this franchise.
I'm too kind a person for this job. I am. I need to go get another career. I'm too kind of a person for this.
Really?
I am. And maybe it's because I am red-haired, and maybe it's because I am sensitive, or more sensitive than most people in this room.
And it also takes a lot more anesthesia to knock you out.
Right,
He's more sensitive to everything but anesthesia.
Maybe I should just go work for a floral shop. I don't know. I don't know.
So are you telling me that Jed York, Jerry Jones, you lump in these owners that say, I want to win and win championships? You're saying they're wrong?
No, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying maybe we got to just stop and consider what it was and what it is now. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that sometimes I think we get consumed with that.
What type of opportunity do you have? When you have this much talent, when you've had a head coach rebuild this organization twice through the way he wants it done and still can't win, what is Marvin's excuse now?
Yeah, you're right. Fire his butt. Let's get rid of him.
You've convinced him.
We're done. I'm done. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning. I can't. There's always so much I can argue. You're right. You're right.
I don't believe that, Ken. I think you got a lot of arguing.
No, he's right.
I'll do my best arguing before 8 a.m.
Okay, we've heard you on the radio before. Okay.
This is what I've come to is that when you get married, it's.
Oh boy.
No, hang on. She's got the flu. She's not listening. Is when you get married, is just say you're right. Just say, look, you know what? You're right. I don't know what I was thinking. You're right. And you know what? Everything else good. Chris, you know what?
That's good advice.
You're right.
I'm just asking a question.
I know, but you're right.
There you go, Chris. Okay.
You're right, Chris.
You know, the voice of the common man.
And happy
will I ever convince you? No. Will you ever convince me? No. So, you're right.
All right.
That was sweet. You too.
Beaker
a nice
is
moment.
the team of the
It
week.
was a nice moment.
Go inform the viewers of this morning's news, Chris. We will talk to you next week.
I'll stop and get bread and milk.
Cut in.
Yes, got it. Okay.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Did the illustrious Paul Brown win a playoff game as a Bengals head coach?
No.
No.
No one has won a playoff game
As a matter of fact, nor did Homer Rice.
Right.
Nor did Dave Shula.
And I was being facetious about Jim Harbaugh coming here. I was just trying to make a point that he took his team to 3 straight in the Super Bowl, and also it wasn't good enough.
Maybe for other reasons.
Paul Brown was in a different situation when you started an expansion team when he did. That was a much harder proposition, and he was the fastest team. They were the fastest team to ever get in the playoffs, being an expansion team when they did it. It was a different era. Starting a team from total scratch was a different prospect.
But
the one thing he did wrong, he didn't hire Bill Walsh. Okay, because that would have changed everything. We'd have a whole different attitude about the Bengals in the playoffs.
The Midwest offense.
And who did he hire instead of Bill Walsh?
Tiger Bill Johnson.
Here's the thing. I mean, I think it's real easy in this day and age to fire a coach. I think you appease the fan base when you fire a coach, unless he's completely inept. I don't think Marvin Lewis is completely inept. I think he's a good coach. Is he a great coach? No. But you're never going to get John Gruden. You wouldn't get Bill Parcells. None of these guys are coming here for what Matt said. They don't want to have somebody over them telling them what to do. So at that point, what are you doing? You're going to fire the guy just to fire the guy and say, oh, look, we've made change.
But, okay, I'm going to speak from Mike Brown vantage point. If it puts butts in seats buying $9 beers and $4 hot dogs,
oh,
yes,
he
does.
No. That's
that
exactly
is all
what
he cares about. He does
he
not.
Cares
that's why we are where we are.
Yeah.
For years and years, hey, it's sold out. I don't care that they haven't had a winning season in however many years. All he wanted was the bottom line to be a good one.
It's not worth his effort to do that because he opens the door every day and he's got guaranteed TV money. Can he sell a couple of more beers? Can he sell a couple of more hot dogs? Can he sell a couple more? I'm telling you, the guy doesn't care because he's got this guaranteed money. So you're saying to yourself, okay, do I want to make $31 million this year, or do I want to make $30.5 million this year? The NFL is set up right now where you don't have to win to be successful, and the only thing that drives successful franchises are the egos of the owners. The dude doesn't have an ego. Mike Brown has no ego. All he cares about is counting his nickels in Indian Hill.
I don't disagree. We're going to move on now, where I have to lay on my sword or something like that.
That could be uncomfortable.
Liz is going to join us again. Ken, you weren't here the last time. Liz and I have worked together for many years.
There's
She just stopped
Liz.
working here, but
Liz.
it's not Liza.
It's Liza.
It's
But
just the Liz.
I talked a little smack on Facebook last night and told all of Liz's friends that the Steelers were going to lose and they should watch her on our show, and that's about all I said. But I'm wrong, Liz. The Steelers are champions of the North.
Is that a Cordell Stewart jersey you have on? What is that?
Oh my gosh, Cordell Stewart. No, I've never had a Cordell Stewart jersey. That is Palomalu. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Now, did you ever feel, Liz, last night that the outcome of this game was in doubt? Did you ever feel like the Bengals had seized the moment? Did you ever feel like
She
Pittsburgh...
felt it in the fourth quarter, didn't you, Liz? I mean, even knowing how bad we are, you felt it in the fourth quarter, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. When they were down there, when it was 2017, the Bengals were down there at they were already in field goal range right before, the
fumble.
The big reinforced fumble. I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to tie this game up. We're going to go into overtime, or we're going to tie it, which I think would have been worse than losing. Pressure was on. I was feeling it. I was biting my nails. My husband was making fun of me.
Liz, are you? I've discovered this is a trait with people from Pittsburgh. Is that when the Steelers are losing, they turn the television set off because they think they're jinxing the team. Do you ever do that?
Absolutely. I am so superstitious. One, probably being from Pittsburgh and being a Steelers fan, but also because my family's Scottish. We are a very superstitious people. So if they're losing, I'm turning it off. Or I'm going to change my outfit, or I'm going to change the position in which I'm sitting. All of that matters. All of it counts.
Liz, did you have all this crap up behind you that last time we spoke with you?
He used
I
to
don't
say it
remember.
in a very endearing way, Liz.
I don't remember all that stuff being behind you. If this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, it was up there, but I was holding my phone much closer to my face, so you couldn't see it. But I wanted everyone to be able to see my Steelers shrine that I have.
In your yellow room. That's very
work.
nice.
Yeah.
Now, this room was painted this color when we moved into this house. It was meant to be.
Did you think it was a dirty hit on Le'Veon Bell last night by Reggie Nelson?
Here's the thing. 5 years ago, yes. Today, no. Because that's what the NFL wants. The NFL wants you to go after their knees because we can't hit the head anymore. Now, I understand concussions cause these long-term effects that are horrible. But at the same time, it's these players' livelihoods when you're going after their knees. So, I mean, it was awful. And who knows if he's going to get to play on Saturday. But I don't think it necessarily was a dirty hit. I mean, he kind of went in with his forearm.
Yeah.
But that's what the NFL wants. You can't blame them for that.
Liz, I'm curious. We've floated some theories on Facebook this morning as to what Mike Tomlin and Reggie Nelson were talking about after the game. I personally think it was the reemergence of scandal after the winter hiatus. DVR alert. I think that's what they were talking about.
Absolutely.
Others may say it was the Bell hit. What do you think it was?
Well, Tomlin was the only one of Marvin Lewis and Reynolds to say anything in the post-game press conferences, and all he said was that who was it? Reynolds? Was that his name? I can't even remember his name.
Nelson?
Reggie Nelson.
Thank you. That Reggie Nelson said something to Tomlin to provoke the reaction that he had. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess probably Bell was mentioned. I think scandal was probably more.
I'm sure it was scandal. Perhaps mincemeat versus pumpkin pie. One never knows.
But a player should never go after the opposing team's coach.
Have you ever seen a coach separate an opposing coach and a player?
I don't give a damn what happened on the field. The player never goes after the opposing team. He was wrong for doing that.
It seemed to me like Tomlin started it. I don't know. When I saw the replay,
I don't know.
What I saw in the replay was they were talking. It seemed very amicable. They were walking together, shoulder to shoulder, and then Tomlin, at least in the replay that I saw, was the first one to start pointing and getting in his face.
Well, who knows what Reggie Nelson said to him?
I agree,
but shoulder to shoulder.
I agree, but as they were, what you could see when one physically got worked up, Tomlin seemed to do that first.
I think it's a woman.
Yeah. And let me just add this: an opposing coach should never go after another guy's player. You just don't do things like that on the field. That was an issue. If that's an issue for Marvin Lewis and for Mike Tomlin.
It did start as a hug, though, so the question is, how did it deteriorate?
Right, exactly. I remember a handshake. I'm straying here, but there was a handshake between Dave Shula and Barry Switzer after a game here at Riverfront Stadium years ago. And Switzer had said before the game, or referred to the Bengals as kind of like a homecoming opponent. You know, you always had to be careful of these homecoming opponents. And Shula said something to him like that, and then they're both going back and forth like that. That's the way it should be handled. It shouldn't have been Troy Aikman coming up, or coaches, not coaches, players. That's wrong. It was wrong on both ends. Should never have happened.
Agreed. Of course, I didn't get to see it live because Time Warner decided, oh, you know what? We're done showing the game. We're just going to go to black.
Really?
Thanks, Warner.
Really?
What?
Oh yeah. There was a minute left in the game, and Time Warner went to black. I'm like, what? I mean, they were in victory formation, so it's not like I missed anything. But maybe I wanted to see the celebration. I wanted to see the Gatorade bath.
Did the whole cable or just Channel 5?
I don't know. I turned
at that time you just started yelling. Liz had what we call one of her fits.
Yeah. What did they show instead?
She said they went to black.
Nothing.
Really? So maybe they had money on the game. Maybe they just got mad.
Maybe it was one of your neighbors.
Yeah, it could have been. It might have been the cat.
Maybe it was your husband.
There you go.
Yeah, I've had enough.
Did you know where he was? Was he behind the television with the cable in his hand?
My husband was actually already in bed. He was like, I'm done. I'm going to bed. So he was already in bed. So I don't know. It could have been him. I didn't have eyes on him, so maybe.
Well, Liz, good to see you again. Thanks for joining. Congratulations on the Steelers winning the AFC North.
Go Ravens.
Let's hope we don't have to do this again.
Go Ravens.
Liz.
Oh my gosh. Bring it.
No. All right. I hope we meet you again in 3 weeks and kick your butt. Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. Good. Good morning, Liz. We'll talk to you.
You know, the highlight of every show that we do is Mr. Satin.
Obviously.
Now, if you're a neophyte to this show, Mr. Satin is our man on the street. He goes out and collates. He goes out and gathers. He goes out and talks to the Vox Populi about what their thinking is with regards to our Cincinnati Bengals. And today, the final Monday, by the way, of 2014.
Oh.
Today is no exception. Here now is the aforementioned Mr. Satin.
Hey, what's happening? This is Mr. Satin with the Flying Pigskin. You know, it's been a fantastic year this year. Week 17, and guess what? We're in the playoffs. So let's take a look back at all the great times we've had this year with a little Mr. Satin retrospective 2014. second. If you could ask Ken Brew anything, what would you ask Ken Brew?
Wow. I guess my question to Ken Brew is, Ken, how would you handle the bull rusher on a 3rd and 12?
I do what you do, Anthony. I just hold on every play.
What? Set! At offensive line, all of them, Munoz. Tantric Ape at MCN 8 Suck.
I get down here at 6 in the morning.
Woo!
I cook in a freaking trash can.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we're rocking the jet leg jersey, right?
Right.
Have you seen how much they're going on for eBay? You can make some money off this jersey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about $19.95. Hashtag Bengals. And I'm looking at 30 here.
You want a shotgun of beer?
Let's go shotgun a beer, man.
And just turn it up and start sucking, man.
This one comes from our buddy Lance McAllister, at Lance McAllister. I may do cartwheels around Paul Brown Stadium. Hashtag Bengals. Well, I'll join you then. Cartwheels. Pittsburgh Steelers in 3 words.
I don't like Pittsburgh.
Here it is, the final question, the gotcha question, the mother of all questions. Who's a pretty kitty? Who's a pretty kitty? Come on, who's a pretty kitty? Who's a pretty kitty? Yes.
That's it.
That's it. Keep banging.
I had a tear in my eye. This was sweet.
Mr. Satin joins us.
Greetings.
You know, when you die, we're going to play that. Kind of
Yeah.
like it's just like your eulogy is what we're going to do.
Yeah, the sombering music. Brian had
it's wonderful.
Yeah, we might as well
Nice
close
touch.
with Old Lang Syne right
Right,
now.
exactly. There was an inordinate amount of alcohol consumed during this year with you.
It
Field
seemed-
research.
Yeah, well, great point. And, it was really hot at the beginning of that season.
It was,
so,
yeah.
We had to get
And
something.
then it was really cold, so
Right. You put those hot and cold like the BLT.
Right.
Sometimes you got to put them together. You know,
Gotta
the
do it.
styrofoam and
the McDLT.
you put it here.
That was the whole idea.
What was the best? What was the of all the alcohol that you consumed? What was the best? Is it beer? Is it a beer thing? You have to drink beer because
I heard it was the vodka-soaked gummy bears.
Yeah, so
Oh.
that was a trip. So it was about halfway through the season. This guy just comes stumbling up to us. And he's like, Satin, and of course.
Of course.
You know,
And
like your Pete.
Check this out. And Brian's got the camera there. Shoves this gigantic cereal bowl in my face. And I mean, his breath about knocked me over. I think I was already hungover from that. And this bowl of Everclear with gummy bears soaking in it. He's like, I had this from the night before soaking in it.
Orange flavor.
Everclear.
Yeah, or flavored something or other. And of course, I got to try it. I'm not going to.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to be like, "Brr." So
no.
You're one with the peeps.
a big, huge spoonful in my mouth. And I think I got like weak in the knees. I was like, whoa, it's crazy. This guy was like, one eye looking that way, the other one looking that way.
And you decided whatever he's having, I'll have as well.
It was crazy. So that really stood out to me. That the flamingo guy with this kid right there. This is how we do it.
You know,
Pretty good times.
And I worry about that. You know, kids are down there. You know, I'm
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
dad
Oh,
like
they see
drink
some
out.
worse stuff than that in the basement on the weekends.
Oh.
Their parents drink. Think about it. This area probably has 80% of the basements have bars in it, correct?
I don't
mean,
know. My
80% of what?
basement. I have
The
a,
basements in this area, everybody's got a bar. Like there's a
80% of
Yeah.
basements have bars?
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
No.
Mike Strotman's nodding. I see him.
Okay.
Seriously,
A lot of
everybody's
wood
got a bar.
paneling.
Yeah, a lot of wood paneling.
Right,
the guy that cooked in the trash can. I thought that was an intriguing way to make meals. I mean, do you think
Yeah.
do you sense that catching on?
I don't know. It seemed like a lot of work.
It's a new
he
twist
showed me
on
like
beer can chicken.
there was like welding spots, and the guy had torches, and
all kind of things. I'm like, that's a lot of effort
And
for
you
like
ate shrimp from it.
That's true. Slow motion shrimp.
Shrimp flambé.
Yes.
It was. I remember it being real moist and tender.
Now, Mr. Satin, they play in Indianapolis on Sunday, and obviously the Bengals did not, fare all that well last night. Your thoughts going into the playoffs? What do you think?
Yeah, I was really excited last night. I'm surprised I didn't see Tomlin stick his foot out to try to trip anybody. I was looking for that last night.
Thought that was going to happen. Huh?
I'm not going to forget that.
Never.
Talking about the whole coaches thing. But we got to put that stuff behind us. It's like the whole mentality with St. Louis and the Reds. It's like, let's just get past it. Let's look at Indianapolis. I think we got them. We got their number. I think it's
you
time.
got their no. They beat you 27-0 like a month ago.
Yeah, but they're a way different team now.
Yeah, just
maybe
setting them up.
Ty maybe doesn't play.
Maybe you might have another kid, and you never know. He might not be able to answer the bell.
Right.
But I'm looking. Dalton was horrible in that. Well, pick a game. Dalton was horrible in that game. They got like 135 net yards in that game.
Win.
We're getting him a dartboard.
They win in spite of Dalton. When they beat Denver, it wasn't because of Dalton.
You can't win at this time of the year without a great quarterback.
You need a great quarterback. I agree. And I think he needs to get in a dart league on the offseason. Get those 20s down to a bullseye. He's struggling.
Yeah. Although I really and truly think they can beat Indiana. This team I think can get on a run. I think this team could win the entire conference.
How do we get on a run?
No, I think they're going to beat Indianapolis. I think they're going to after that they go where will they go? New England? I think they're going to.
Who are you? We just listened to you for 50 minutes say that we had no chance because our quarterback stunk.
No. I think you're right. They play past what Dalton does.
Campbell.
Well, I think Dalton's going to have a nice run. I think Dalton's going to play well in Indiana.
He's got one more touchdown pass than interception on the year. How could you be?
I think those numbers are backwards now. I think he's got more interceptions now, doesn't he?
I think last night
it was 18-17 last night.
Right. I don't know what point it was in the game. We were 2 for 2. They went 2 and 2 though. He had 2 touchdown passes.
Gotcha.
Either way.
I think Jeremy Hill's going to run for $160.
We need it.
I think Hill's running for $160. I think Dalton throws 3 interceptions, but 2 touchdown passes, and the defense has an unconventional score. They beat Indianapolis, and then they would go. Well, they would then go to New England, right?
They get the one.
It would depend on who won the Baltimore game.
Yeah.
The Baltimore-Pittsburgh game.
Pittsburgh's winning that game. They would go to.
Then we would go to Denver.
Denver, and they'll beat Denver in Denver.
Well, when we played Indy, our defense was much more depleted physically. Hopefully Newman comes back. I mean, that was a big point at that point in time is that, and even some of the guys who were playing against Indy, that was their first game, and now they've played for 10 games. The defense is better, and the defense is why we win games. They keep us in the game, and then if Dalton just doesn't step on it.
Well, and we ranked I had him rank the AFC quarterbacks.
Right.
I'm thinking now. I mean, he's better than Roethlisberger.
What has just happened?
You think so?
Oh,
What's happening?
He's better.
I think that we've gone into some sort of weird vortex.
No. I don't think he's as good as Brady. But hell, he beat Manning last week, so he's better than Manning.
Hey, I'll take that.
He did not beat Manning.
Who?
Okay. And he is not better than
They
Manning.
won.
We got a Sunday or Saturday. We got the short week.
We got
Sunday at 1 or 1:30.
Yeah, but all those
got the answer to those stats.
All those aforementioned quarterbacks have Super Bowl rings except for Mr. Luck.
You want to know something? Let me just say this. That may all very well be true, but there's a Super Bowl ring sitting out there that says 2015 on it.
Yeah.
Why can't it not have Andy Dalton's name?
I want to run through a wall
That's
now.
So I was saying before the year, Seahawks. Bengals, Super Bowl. That could still happen.
Some Kool-Aid in the last.
I don't know what's happening, but I love it.
Is it just me? Did he just totally change?
Yes.
I know.
There's a chance that ring has Carson Palmer's name on it, though.
Oh, Lord.
Never again. That guy's never going to play again.
I just think.
No, but he's on the team.
I think after 45 minutes of hearing people cap on Andy Dalton and cap on the Bengals, it's enough. I think this team has got the fiber that it takes to win an American Football Conference championship. And then, who knows what happens in the Super Bowl?
I think they beat themselves last night. Honestly, I really do. I mean, I know Pittsburgh, whatever.
Yeah.
But they made too many turnovers. They played against Pittsburgh. They played against themselves, and they still were there. I mean,
This town needs a championship.
I think
Cincinnati
is the truth.
needs a championship.
I think we might have one. I think we might have one.
Minor league hockey.
Yeah, Cyclones. That's cool, but we
Not the same
come
thing.
on.
Mr. Satin, it's good to see you.
Always
yeah,
great to see you.
Catherine, thank you so much for coming in today.
So glad to be here.
We have a great cast of characters every Monday. We're back next Monday, at least for
And
one
many
more show.
Mondays to come.
We have wonderful furniture provided to us by Furniture Fair. For style and flair, your best stop is Furniture Fair.
I'll tell you, we've got both in these lovely chairs.
Yes, and not that I do endorsements, but I bought a lamp there last week.
There you go.
So anyway, thanks to everybody. We are back next Monday at 7 a.m. Download the app, watch it on demand, and join us then for the show that everybody's talking about, the Flying Pigskin Show, and only on WCPO.com.